Hello there, it's Andy Parks, live from the Washington Times, and I'll be joined by Jeff Mordock, Washington Times White House reporter, right after this. But first, as a listener to my podcast, you qualify to receive a 50% discount on an annual digital subscription to the Washington Times. Simply go to washingtontimes.com/Andy. That's washingtontimes.com/ANDY. All right, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned, he's here. He's actually in studio. Jeff Mordock joins me now, Washington Times White House reporter. Hi, Jeff.
Hey, Andy. Great to be here. Great to be in studio.
Yeah, it's with COVID over the past year and a half, nobody's been in this room except for me. I think Charlie Hurt's been in one time. That's about it. So it's good to see you in person. I know that you've got to head down to the White House here in just a little bit. Big story of the day, I guess, is the Biden crime strategy. Now, obviously, he hasn't made the public appearance yet, but you've gotten some pretty good information as to what he's going to say, right?
Right. The administration's already released some details about the crime strategy, and it's going to be focused on two things. It's going to be focused on community policing, which is a strategy that emphasizes police officers in a certain neighborhood work to develop relationships with that neighborhood and the residents of that neighborhood. And the thinking is that that's going to improve trust among the communities, which will make it easier for police to solve crimes. It'll also reduce allegations of police brutality because it's developing relationships between the police in the neighborhoods. It was a big Obama-era policy. It kind of faded under the Trump administration. There's mixed reaction to how effective community policing works. Obviously, there's some groups that say it's extremely effective. There's other groups that say it's not as effective. But the other key focus, they're going to use the Justice Department to really crack down on federal gun laws and really try and go after gun dealers who violate federal laws, possibly revoke their license forever, or at least for a very long period of time. Justice Department is going to set up gun task forces. So the lead focus here is going to be community policing in guns. What I find kind of interesting is I don't see anything here on a push to do enhanced sentences for criminals. I would expect something like that is really the most effective deterrent to crime, because if people know they're facing a long period of time in jail, they're much less likely to commit crimes. I noticed that seemed to be absent from the plan.
Yeah, one of the things that I've noticed around the country is we need tougher prosecutors. We need people that will take up the case, take it to court, finally get the conviction and put these people away. But we've got a lot of people who are reluctant to do it. In the city of Baltimore, Marilyn Mosby. I mean, it's almost a pick and choose. Well, I'm going to prosecute this guy. I'm going to go after this guy, but I'm not going to do this guy and this guy and this guy. And it drives me crazy. Now, the community policing thing, I can tell you, growing up and being born in Baltimore, back then there really was a cohesive unit between police and the residents. I don't know if that would work today.
Well, it wouldn't, because I think trust has shattered on both sides to such a degree. We talk about police departments and their morale. Morale's at an all-time low. Yeah. And then you look at communities of color, their trust of police is at an all-time low. It can be rebuilt, but it's going to take a long time, and it's going to take more than just community policing. One of the things I thought was really interesting was, as part of the strategy, is the Biden administration is going to free up some cash under the COVID-19 relief bill to allow departments to hire more officers. What I think will be interesting is to see what the reaction is on both sides. You've got Democrats and social justice groups pushing for defund the police and allocating police. And here you do have the Biden administration sending money over to hire officers, but they've put a caveat on that you cannot hire officers beyond your pre-pandemic staffing level. So yes, you can hire officers, but I think that's going to be interesting, because I think you're going to have the Democrats and some of the social justice groups criticizing Biden for that, and you're also going to have the Republicans saying that doesn't go far enough. And the other thing about hiring more officers is, as we just discussed, officer morale is at an all-time low. And if people don't want to be police officers, people are leaving the force in droves. You can have all the money you want for hiring. If people don't want to work for you and don't want to do that job, it really doesn't matter how much money you have to hire people.
Yeah. I want to remind you folks that you can read all about the president's speech, and all you have to do is go to washingtontimes.com. Actually, what I do is I Google Jeff Mordock, Washington Times, and your whole list of stories comes up. So that's the easiest way to get updated on that. All right, I'm going to move to something else. Biden missing July 4th COVID-19 vaccination target. They're happy a lot of people got the shot, but a lot of people 30 and under really haven't, right?
Yeah, this is a setback for the Biden administration. It's an embarrassment for them. They set two very ambitious goals. One was to get more than 160 million people vaccinated by July 4th, fully vaccinated. The other was to have 70% of the adult population receive at least one of the vaccination shots by July 4th. They're not going to hit either goal. I believe by July 4th, we'll probably have about 65 to 68% of the people, adults, receiving one shot, and we'll probably have about 60 to 62% receiving both shots. The administration has been trying to focus on the positive, which is that 70% of people over 30 have been vaccinated, but we're seeing vaccination rates decline. Back in April, and I forget the exact date, there was a peak of about 4.6 million. Now we're down to a couple 100,000 a day. The people who got the shot, it looks like, or people who plan to get the shot have already received the shot. And it seems like the people left are the holdouts who, for whatever reason, and it's their right, don't want to get the shot. And we're seeing the administration really do a major push to try to get people resistant to getting a shot on board. Where we're seeing it lag in rural states. We're seeing it lag among young people aged 18 to 30, and we're seeing it lag in minority, particularly the African American communities. It seems those three communities are very reluctant to get the shot. And the Biden administration, you saw Jill Biden yesterday travel to Nashville, Tennessee, Jackson, Mississippi. I believe the president is traveling to North Carolina this week to try to encourage people to get the shot. As we saw last month, they rolled out some incentives. So there's a lot this administration is trying to do. But in the end, if people don't want to get the shot, I'm not sure what the administration can really do to force people to get the shot.
Yeah, and even yesterday, Vice President Harris was talking, I believe, in Atlanta and said, you need to go door to door and convince your neighbors to get the shot. I don't know if I would do that or not.
You know who is doing that is Dr. Fauci is going door to door. I know he's gone in Baltimore. I believe he's gone in D.C., knocking on doors, telling people that to get the shot and trying to convince people. And he's going into poorer neighborhoods. He's going into African-American neighborhoods and asking people to get the shot. So it's interesting to knock on your door and you got Dr. Fauci there.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, that would be a shocker, wouldn't it? All right, I'm going to take you down a road that maybe you weren't prepared for, but you had a story, Biden won't back down from looming Catholic rebuke, will keep attending Mass. Jen Psaki says Joe Biden is a strong man of faith, but I've noticed with people like Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi, they don't agree with a lot of the church's doings, and so they kind of go their own path. I don't quite get that.
Yeah, it's interesting, especially for Mr. Biden, because he's been one of the more open politicians when it comes to his Catholic faith. He's talked about it quite frequently. He's made the sign of the cross at public events. He attends Mass. I mean, you've seen shots of him coming in and out of Mass. Even on the most recent European trip to meet with the EU and NATO, he found time to go to Mass. So he's definitely open about his faith. But yes, there are some tenets of the Catholic faith he doesn't agree with. And, he has been supportive of policies that support abortion. The U.S. Conference of Catholic Bishops is considering rebuking him by drafting a document that would limit who can get the Eucharist. And for somebody who would get the Eucharist, politicians who support abortion policies would be banned from getting the Eucharist. Jen Psaki says that this is a personal matter, and President Biden has said that as well. He still plans to attend faith, and they also don't seem to believe that the church is going to go through with drafting guidelines that would limit his ability to receive communion. Biden said last week, I don't think it's going to happen. And you see a lot of debate from the Catholic bishops. It was a very intense debate over whether or not they should draft these documents or not. On one side, you have the bishops arguing for drafting the document, saying this is what the Catholic Church stands for. The Catholic Church will not bend on this issue, and we have to stand up for our faith and what we believe in. On the other side, you have bishops saying, well, now this is going to make the Eucharist, the Holy Eucharist, a political tool and a partisan tool. And it'll be interesting where this goes. They have all summer they're going to debate. We expect to get a decision in November. And anything they do has to be approved by the Vatican. So even if they decide to ban President Biden from receiving communion or decide to allow him, the Vatican can overrule whatever they decide anyway. So they're not even going to be the last word on this.
Yeah. I want to talk about you for a second. Last time you and I spoke, you were the Justice Department reporter for the Washington Times, and now you're the White House reporter for the Washington Times. Tell me about the switch.
I was very surprised. I was very thrilled to get the opportunity to cover the White House. So far, it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of having my hand raised at Jen Psaki's press conferences and reaching out to people in the lower press. When I say lower press, in the White House, behind where Jen Psaki gives her press briefings, there's an area where you have all the public relations staff, and that's called lower press because you have the more high-level press staff above them, like Jen Psaki and people like that. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to bring our readers what's going on inside the White House and what they need to know about what this administration is doing.
Yeah. All right. Before I let you run, what are you working on today? Obviously, the crime bill stuff.
The crime bill stuff, that is the big thing. We'll see what Jen Psaki talks about at her press briefing today. For the crime bill, I'm interested to see what law enforcement says. I've not seen law enforcement groups like the Fraternal Order of Police, the National Association of Police Organizations. I have not seen what their response is. I'll be very interested to see where they stand on this issue.
Jeff, always good to see you, my friend. Thank you very much.
It's exciting to be here.
Yeah, actually in studio, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Mordock, Washington Times White House reporter. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Andy.
And again, you can read all of Jeff's stories at WashingtonTimes.com. Thanks for joining me today, and remember to receive a 50% discount on an annual digital subscription to the Washington Times. Go to WashingtonTimes.com/Andy. You'll get 24/7 digital access to the Washington Times at 50% off. Go to WashingtonTimes.com/ANDY. I'm Andy Parks. Have a great day.